Okay, for our first lab, it's really looking at the tools that we're going to use in other laboratories. It's tools that you can use to solve problems, a variety of different things. So we're going to be looking at how to graph in Excel. We're going to be looking at how to do an interpretation of a graph, and we're going to be looking at how to do the video analysis. I'm going to start with the video analysis just because it's a lot more fun. It's a lot more interesting. So up again under your learning resources, you click on our video analysis tool, and it should take you to the tool. Depending upon your screen, I've had a lot of people say that they don't see this video analysis piece initially. Scroll down because of the size of your screen. If you're on a tablet or you're on a Surface or you're doing it on a large smartphone, you may not necessarily see the video analysis tool here. The video that you're going to be using for this laboratory, the one that you're actually going to use, is already here. We're going to use the basketball shot. That's the one we're going to do. So when you'll click that, it will upload the video. So some things I want to show you about our video analysis tool. Number one, up under here, if you click on your three dots, here's the user manual for the tool. This can set your preferences. This can help with abouts. I have several videos already in Blackboard that you can look at that tells you a little bit different. It's one of the reasons why I'm showing you the video tool first this time, because I usually show it at the end. This way I've got a nice video of using the video analysis tool right up front. So that's one of the things that's there. Also, when you're getting ready to look at different pieces, you can actually do your options. You can view your data table. You can move things around. You can add notes to where you want to put. You can use to take notes. We're going to be looking at our data table, and we're going to be looking at our video, and we're going to be looking at a graph. So we will have that. During the course of the semester, you're going to be creating your own videos. We're going to use this tool to determine the acceleration due to gravity. You're going to actually drop an object and you're going to be able to do it. So one of the things that you want to know about is how the video tool works. So first of all, you'll see that these units, that's what we talked about yesterday, things have units. So right now it's giving our units as in pixels. We're going to actually use our video to do something better than pixels. And when you do your videos, you're going to want to have some sort of reference in the video so you know what a length is. You have a known length in your video. So you're going to want to do that. So as we do this, the other thing that you're going to want to watch is your timing in frames per second. Most of the newer phones, we experienced this last semester. We hadn't run into it yet, but one of the labs that we used told you to record it in slow motion. And when they did it in slow motion, this video analysis tool uses a certain frames per second. And their time was all screwed up because they didn't have the right frames per second. So when you're doing video, if you want to take something in slow motion, that's totally fine. But be aware of that frames per second. And there is a way to go in and modify the frames per second in the video tool. Most of the time, your video is in real time, not a big issue. This tool works really great. So things you need to know, we can add points. We're going to actually do that in this video. We can track, have it automatically track, but we also can set our coordinate system. So one of the first things I want to do is I want to set a known scale. So I'm going to use my measuring device. So I will use my measuring device here. I will click on it, and I'm going to use that as a known quantity. And if you're familiar with doors, doors are pretty easy. And we can actually say, how big is the door? I could use the basketball. If I knew how tall my individual was, I could have used that. Or I have a meter stick that I actually put in my videos that I can clearly see what is a meter. But we're going to use the door. We're going to make an assumption that our door, so this data that we're going to get here is going to be incorrect because I built in an actual error, because we don't really know how tall that door is. We don't have a good figure for that door. But I'm going to say that that door is 2.2 meters. Most doors are 6 to 8 feet, depending on what you have. 6 feet would be 2 yards. So a little over 2 meters is probably a good number for a door. So we're going to use that. So we've actually now set our distance dimension in our video. So now I'm going to come back in here. I'm now going to give myself a coordinate system. Well, one of the things is we're going to look at this ball as it goes into projectile motion. We know how a basketball is going to go. It's going to go up, and it's going to go create an arc, and it's going to come down. So we know we're going to start after the basketball leaves the person's hand. So I've got the basketball leaving his hand there. And at that point, the ball is just traveling with its constant motion. It's the only things that are going to be acting on it are the acceleration due to gravity and friction. So we can actually look at this overarch piece that we're dealing with. So we have that. So I'm going to set my coordinate system. I'm going to put my origin for my coordinate system right where I think the exact center of that basketball is. So now I've given myself an actual measure. I've given myself the coordinate system. And now I'm going to collect data. And we're going to collect data right off of this video. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to add a point. So there's my coordinate system. I'm adding a point. And as this ball goes up, I'm going to make an estimate to where the center of this ball is. And as I do that, it's clicking through one frame at a time. And we're getting the ball going up. It's starting to get to the top of its arc. And you can see I've got a little bit of error in there based on how I'm eyeballing it. So I've collected quite a bit of data. Now, as we collected the data, you saw now that my data table is there. You can export this data, so you can click on these dots. You can rename the data set. You can collect the data set. You can export the data. You can do a variety of different things here. You also see that I have a graph. Now, the X is in red, so this is my position in the X direction over time, and we see that we get a nice straight line. Because we have a video analysis tool, I can go in and I can actually apply curve fit to my data, and I'm going to apply a linear curve fit to my red data, and I'm going to get there, and the red data tells me I've got a very nice straight line. It gives me a slope, it gives me my y-intercept, and the R value tells me how good the data is. So I can actually model my actual motion in the X direction by using a straight line. So my graph is giving me a way to interpret what is physically happening to the basketball by doing that straight line. Now, The straight line doesn't work very well for the Y direction. Y direction is not going to be a straight line. So I'm going to have to go back and I'm going to apply curve fit and I get choices. And in this case, it looks like a parabola. We know a parabola and we remember our algebra. We know that that's going to be a quadratic. And now if I look at my curve fit for the blue and a quadratic, I get a really nice blue curve fit and I get data. And now we can interpret what's happening to the ball in the Y direction based on that data. Now, as we go through our kinematics, these two equations are going to start to make a lot of sense. But we've actually modeled what the basketball is doing just by looking at our data in the video analysis. All I want you to do for this laboratory is to get to this point. Do exactly what I've done. Get to this point. I'm not necessarily worrying about, are your numbers accurate? Are they right? I'm wanting you to get familiar with the tool because we're going to be using the tool a different variety of ways. But what you need to include in your laboratory report is this screenshot. Now, some of you can take screenshots from your computer really easily, and I'm aware of that. Some of you, not so much. And I am totally going to accept taking a picture with your cell phone and putting that picture from your cell phone into your laboratory report. But I want to see that you have gotten to this point in the tool. And we'll be using the tool over and over again. You'll be able to see it, but this just really gets us into the tool. You also have these gears. This gives you different options. This is how you can set your frames per second. If you're using slow motion frames, this will allow you to say, hey, I don't want to advance every single frame. Depending on the length of your video, I might want to do 2 frames so I don't get all of that lovely data. But you can see that this is real data. So I'm going to go ahead and move this out of the way. You can see that this is real data because it's not a perfect parabola. I made errors, and that was a human error. So there's some error in this data. So this is a legitimate way to collect physical data and to be able to measure things in the real world. So that's the video analysis tool portion of the lab. Any questions? And you can use the chat if you need to.
Yeah, I missed the part where you brought up the quadratic thing.
Okay, so here you click on the graph tool and you'll do the apply curve. And then you have a lot of different choices.
It's showing that option isn't available to me.
It's not a, you don't have that option for the quadratic. It's not available to you.
Yeah, it says apply curve fit and it's like grayed out, like I can't click it.
Huh. Well, it may be that you don't have enough data in there yet.
I did more than you did.
Okay. Not sure. You might try a different browser. Give it another
I'm
whirl.
using Chrome.
Yeah, I'm using Chrome too. Chrome works pretty well. That one I haven't had that happen before where it's grayed out. You might just restart it. But and if that doesn't come back and work for you, I'll have to contact the to troubleshoot.
Okay.
But yeah, I haven't had that problem before.
I'll let you know if it doesn't work.
Yep. And if it doesn't, folks, if you run into that, for the purposes of this, just take a screenshot, show that it was grayed out, and I'll figure out what's going on. All right. I'm gonna stop.